surroundings. First thing I see is to the right. Looks like it has zebra stripes down its backside. That is an okapi. It's more closely related to the giraffe though. It's native to the Congo area of Africa. And they have a nickname for the okapi. They call it the forest giraffe. Now those stripes are actually its camouflage. When it's running through the trees, a predator might mistake its stripes for just sunlight streaking through the foliage. They usually live solo lives, and they have tracks that will mark their territory with scent.
Daddy, this is the animal we saw, Daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see.
Now, as we round this corner, there's going to be a bird to the right with a really big, beautiful orange bill. That's a saddle-billed stork. You can get up to 5 feet tall. And have a wingspan of 9 feet. Now, to the left, I do see something a little bit bigger than that stork, and that is a rhino. This is a black rhino. Weighing about 3,000 pounds and definitely rolling around in that mud. They love the mud. It helps keep their body nice and cool. Unfortunately for the black rhino, there's about 5,000 of them left in the wild. They're often poached for the horn that they have. So to the left and the right of the truck, these beautiful orange antelope. Very gentle and shy creatures, definitely don't want to scare them. But they are bongos, also known as the ghost of the forest. Both male and females have those horns on their head. So it's not a good way of telling them apart. Again, very shy creatures, rarely seen.
Are those crocodiles?
No, no. Deus defenda, este caçar tudo deixa. Este caçar tudo deixa
Those
coitado.
orange coats are actually great camouflage, especially at night. Up on the hillside to the left, there's another antelope, kind of far off, hard to see along the tree line. That's a greater kudu. It looks a little bit like a deer, but it is an antelope, and it's one of the tallest antelopes. That's a female greater kudu because she doesn't have any horns on her head. The male ones have very large horns. And the females usually gather in groups. There's probably a couple more around here somewhere that we didn't see. That's okay, though. We're going to head to the river now. Lots of animals call the river home. We just want to keep our eyes out for anything that might be bubbling under the surface.
This is a crocodile.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. This one is the one we saw.
Don't know if I see anything on this side of the river, but we'll keep on going.
No, it's not crocodile. This is a bird. Okay. Check the bird.
Well, they're pelicans up on the island. And these are pink-backed pelicans. They're those white-colored birds. If you look closely under their wings, they do have a light pink color. And it turns that color during mating season. They are just exiting their mating season now. So the pink color's still there, but it's slowly fading. Now to the left in the water is a hippo. It looks kind of like a floating potato.
Over there.
Hippos are
Swimming.
very large and some of the most dangerous animals in Africa. They are vegetarians or herbivores, but they have very large incisors that they will use for defense. They can run as fast as a human when on land. Also to the left, as we go over the bridge, there are some crocodiles. And they are Nile crocodiles. They're the largest of the crocodilian family. These guys can weigh up to 500 pounds. And when they eat, which is only about once a week, they eat about half of their body weight.
Vamos licenciar, Luana.
They eat mostly.
Vamos dormir lá.
They'll just take a snack of anything that comes their way, including antelopes, wildebeest, lions, other crocodiles. Although they can go several months without eating if it comes to that. We're going to leave the river now and head up to the savannah. Lots of different animals call the Savannah home. And you might notice a couple different animals hanging out together. And that's because they like to graze together in case a predator comes by. Safety in numbers. So if one animal is scared off by a predator, all of them can be scared off. So when you are eating with friends, you feel a little safer. That's what they tend to do down here. Now I see a couple of animals down at the bottom, so we're going to go very slowly down this hill.
And zebra.
Or as they say, poly, very slowly.
Those are giraffes, Daddy, not zebras.
No, there are zebras there.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. And there is
Now,
another
the first
dude
ones
that I don't know what the
right
hell
away
it
are
is.
those giraffes. We're going to get
You'll
a
see
better
the
look
white
at
stripes.
them around the corner. So let's look at these zebras first. You might notice a shorter zebra right next to that taller one, and that is one of the baby zebras that live on the
Mommy,
reserve.
yeah, zebra.
Zebras are actually black with white stripes, and they are striped underneath on their skin as well. Each stripe is unique to that zebra, kind of like a fingerprint. And when a baby zebra is born, it can tell its mother's stripe pattern almost right away. These zebras are Hartman's mountain zebras. They're a lot more docile than your plain zebra or your Grant zebra. And the biggest difference between them and other types of zebras is that they have a flap of skin on their neck called a dewlap. If we get a little closer, you might see it kind of dangling off of them. And that helps keep them cool when it's very hot out.
Oh,
And
Luana,
that's
hyena.
there are
Look,
some
Luana.
African wild dogs.
Oh, they are dogs.
They look a little
They
bit
look
like
like
your
hyenas.
everyday house dog, right? But these guys are
Yeah.
actually the most successful
Daddy,
hunters in
where are
Africa.
those?
They chase and chase
No,
and chase
wild
their
dogs.
prey until they collapse of exhaustion. And they work really well in
What are
groups. They
Wild
communicate
dogs.
through a series of
She
chirping.
says they look like
It sounds
hyenas.
like a
Yeah.
squeaky toy. They don't bark or wolf or anything like that. They just squeak at each other. And they get their name painted dogs because their coat kind of looks like somebody threw black paint all over them. Now, as you round this corner, there are some antelope kind of lying off in the distance in the shade. They're brown in color and have those cool horns that point backwards. Those are sable antelope. They are the symbol of Kilimanjaro Wildlife Preserve. And those horns work really well at deterring any kind of animal from jumping on its back. Because if a lion were to jump on them, they could easily defend themselves just by tilting their head backwards. And we also have these wildebeest right here. This is actually a very small group of them. They hang out in large numbers, so much so that the only other group of people that have larger numbers are humans. These guys live in large numbers and they're very organized. So when they sleep, they often sleep in rows. That way if a predator comes, they can easily escape because they are nice and neat. The name wildebeest is Afrikaans for wild beast. But they're pretty skittish.
Não,
I wouldn't really call them a beast.
cachorro não, este isolado. Senão
We're
está
gonna
comendo
get a
tudo
look at
ali.
those zebras to the right and
outra
then
nenhum.
giraffes to the left. So these are Maasai giraffes, and we can tell just by the pattern that they have. It's a very jagged kind of pattern. Giraffes are the tallest land animals. They can get up to 20 feet tall. Although Maasai giraffes are a bit shorter than their cousin, the reticulated giraffe. Despite their large size, they have the same number of vertebrae in their neck as we do. You might get a good look at their tongue. It's a very dark color. That's because they eat so much that their tongue is prone to sunburns. So by having a darker colored tongue, they don't get sunburned as much. People say that tongue looks blue or purple. To the left, kind of coming up right by the truck, is tan antelope. That is an
Luana and
eland. It's a female eland. So both male and females have those horns. Elands are the tallest antelope on the planet. 50% of the eland population lives on protected lands, just like this reserve. As we round this corner, there are some small antelope to the right lying in the trees. Those are springbok. They get their name from their ability to spring 6 feet straight up and 13 feet forward. They'll spring repeatedly, and when they do that, it's called pronking. When they pronk, they can get up to 50 miles per hour. There's also some cattle to the right. Those are Ankole cattle, or Watusi cattle. They get their name Watusi from the people who domesticated them many years ago. So they're the only domestic animal that live on the reserve. Here's another good look at that giraffe. So giraffes are often standing. They don't really sit down for any long numbers of times unless they feel very safe where they're at. Their biggest defense is those legs. So if they're laying down, they don't really have a good defense against anything. For that reason, a lion or cheetah won't go after a full-grown giraffe. So they sleep standing up, eat, drink standing up, and they even give birth standing up. And that baby giraffe will fall 5 feet straight to the ground. And the shock of the fall alone will encourage that baby giraffe to start breathing. So as we come into the right, there are some African elephants. These are African elephants because they have very, very large ears compared to their Asian cousins. You might notice they're flapping their ears back and forth a little bit, and that's to help regulate their body temperature. They can lower their body temperature 15 degrees just by flapping their ears, kind of like when you run a fan along your face. Don't see anything off to the left, but we'll just keep on going, see if we can find more elephants. Both male and female African elephants have tusks, which are just teeth that never stop growing. And they're often poached, unfortunately, for those tusks.
Why doesn't this thing have
If you
teeth
see a solo elephant, just one alone, it's probably because that's a male elephant. Herds of elephants only consist of female members and very young. Older male elephants are cast off from the group, and they can live alone, or they can live in a bachelor group with other male elephants that are alone. So along with poaching, elephants often face habitat loss, which is why we don't see them as often as we used to, especially around these parts. Biggest threat, and the reason why their habitat is often being destroyed is because they're looking for a mineral. People are looking for a mineral called coltan. Coltan is something that you can find in your cell phones or other small electronic devices. So by recycling those old cell phones or anything like that, we can reuse the coltan and we can prevent further deforestation and habitat loss for these animals. Not seeing any over here, so we're just going to continue further up to the watering hole. Elephants do require a lot of food. They eat a lot. So when they run out of food in one area, they will migrate elsewhere. Elephants are also keystone creatures or keystone species, meaning that they are very, very important to the environment around them, and other animals rely on elephants. For example, they will dig out trenches with their tusks and get water from the earth, and other animals that cannot do that will drink from the water that the elephants have produced. So with fewer elephants, it's also damaging other animals around them as well. Well, we have some flamingos here on the left. If you notice, little gray ones, those are baby flamingos. They are newly hatched. They all are that gray color right out of the egg, and they'll slowly turn pink over time. It takes about 2 years for them to slowly turn pink, though. And they're pink because their food is rich in something called beta carotene. They have a really cool beak which helps filtrate water and other little creatures out, so they get what they want out of the water. I'm gonna go deeper in the reserve. As we do, if you look through the trees, I do see some elephants. They're through the trees, though it's not too good of a look. But now we know where they were. They were looking for food.
Don't be the elephant.
Well, that's okay. We still have a lot more animals to see. These are mud pits that were coming around, and mud pits usually mean rhinos.
Daddy, where's Muppet?
We saw that rhino rolling around in the mud earlier, so I'm sure we'll probably see some more mud-covered rhinos around here.
Daddy, how do you can...
The rhinos that live on this part of the reserve are white rhinos.
Yeah, I don't see
A lot different than
If
the
I
ones
see it,
we saw
I'll let
before
you
that
know.
was a black rhino. And white rhinos are a lot larger than the black rhino. Remember I said they can get up to 3,000 pounds? Well, these guys can get up to 5,500 pounds. I see them through the tree line, so we're going to see if we can go around the
right
through
there.
the trees.
Can you see them?
Where is the wolf?
Right
Yeah,
here.
the
Right
biggest
here.
difference between white rhinos and black rhinos,
I
besides their
see
size,
rhinos,
is their
Daddy.
upper lip. White
It's
rhinos
right
have a
there.
very flat upper lip. You see them up to the right on the hillside.
I see only
And that helps them
dinos.
eat grass and stuff
see?
like that.
I see dinos.
They are sleeping.
Whereas
I
a
see
black rhino has a
dinos,
pointed lip.
okay?
He's
I
taking a
see
nice little nap.
dinos. I see the dinos.
The mud helps block the sun from their skin. It's very sensitive. But also cools them down. There are some cheetahs taking a nap on the left along the tree line. Kind of hard to see them because they have a very great camouflage. But they often rest because it takes a lot of energy to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So they will rest until they're ready to hunt, and then they're pretty successful. Fastest land animals hunt during the day,
Daddy, what did you
Hmm?
and they have non-retractable
You will not
claws
be
and a
able to see
muscular
them
tail
now.
that make it easier for them to turn
They
when
were
they're running
camouflaged,
that fast. They are sprinters though, they're not marathon runners, so they can't hold that speed for very long. So we're gonna head around this rock formation. It's a copy. And animals like lions like to hang out around here because they get a good view of the surrounding area. It's during the day, and lions do like to rest a lot. So I don't know if we're going to see any. 20 hours of the day they spend resting. So while the sun is up, they aren't usually too active. There are some more rhinos off to the right, though, as we round this corner. Kind of up on the hillside.
Sleeping there.
Must be nap time.
No, I don't see them. Oh, I see them.
Really?
Do see some animals way off in the distance to the right, but we'll get a good look at them as we round this corner. So lions work best at night, as I said before, and that's because they see 6 times better at night, and they have paws that make it very hard to hear them as they're approaching. So they can't be seen because it's very dark out, they can't be heard, and they see you. So they are very successful when they hunt at night. The females will do most of the hunting while the males stay behind. There's a warthog up there, kind of hard to see, but he's off in the distance along the rocks. To the left, way back there. They're the largest burrowing animals. They use their tusks and snout and hooves to dig out these burrows, although they will steal someone else's
It
burrows
was
if they have
close
the
to those
chance.
rocks over there. No, you won't be
To
able
the
to see
right,
it.
there's an antelope
Look
laying
at it.
down and ostrich as well. So that antelope is called a bontebok.
Wow.
At one point, bonteboks were almost extinct. Local farmers saw they needed help, and they put them on their land to protect them. Now there are more bonteboks out and
Eggs on the
about.
floor.
There's also an ostrich way back there, and those are the largest birds on the planet. They can't fly, but they make up for it in speed. They can run up to 40 miles per hour. A group of ostriches will be run by the dominant male and the dominant female. And when they lay their eggs, they'll lay them all in a big group. All of the ostriches will lay their eggs together, with the dominant male and female group of eggs being right in the middle. Those eggs are the same size as 2 dozen chicken eggs. And they are so strong that if an average-sized human male were to stand on an ostrich egg, it would not crack. Now we're entering Magadi Glen. The animal that lives here is very shy, but I think we're lucky, and I think he's up there. To the left, as we round this corner, he's on the very top of the hill. And that is a scimitar horn oryx. He has those 2 beautiful horns. That's where he gets his name, because they look like scimitar swords. He's a desert-dwelling antelope, and he has a lot of great adaptations that help him live in the desert. For example, that white coat helps reflect the sun. He won't start sweating until his body reaches 150 degrees Fahrenheit. His hooves are kind of webbed to help him walk in the sand. And I think the most important thing about living in the desert is that he gets most of his water from his food. So he doesn't need to drink water very often. He will drink maybe once every 9 months. Now this does look like the end of our journey, but I do want to thank you for coming out and learning about some of the animals that live here on this reserve. You might have noticed a lot of the animals that live here are endangered or vulnerable. We do take conservation to the heart here. We do our best to help every animal, not just the ones you saw here today. There's lots of things you can do to help animals as well. For example, if you're interested in conservation efforts or donating, I do recommend the Disney Conservation Fund. Disney will match every single donation that is made, dollar for dollar, penny to penny, and 100% goes directly to animals in conservation. You can donate very easily just by rounding up to the dollar during your next purchase anywhere in Animal Kingdom. There's also plenty of things to do in your everyday life, like reduce, reuse, and recycle. Little things like bringing your own shopping bags to the store, maybe bringing your own straw to a restaurant. If we all do a little bit, a lot can change over time. This is going to be our final stop, though. I just want to thank you guys so much again for joining me. My name is Brianna, and it was such a pleasure having you. Before we go, just